Well, welcome to the Valley today. We are at the Fresno Zoo with our good friend Adrian Castro. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for being here.
And we are with the pinnipeds.
We are with the pinnipeds.
What's a pinniped?
I'm proud of you. A pinniped, it's a seal or sea lion. They have their clippers are actually digits. So we have a great group of girls here, and Buck, who's our boy, he's a seal.
So you have 3 females and 1 male?
We have 3 females and 1 male, and currently they live in this environment. It's about 30,000 gallons.
Yeah.
Very suitable for them. It's great. When it was built, it was top notch. And we're actually in the process of even giving them a better home thanks to Measure Z. So we're excited about that.
And that's what you're working on now is the new enclosure that's about 100 yards from here.
Right, exactly. And you know, this is still in great shape. So our plan is, as soon as these girls and Buck are able to move over to the new exhibit, is to renovate it and possibly bring in otters, which would be, you know, otters are a lot of fun. They're very active, and the public loves them. So it'll be a great addition. I don't think we've had otters ever, if not for a very, very long time. So it'll be great for our community to have that access to some otter life.
Otters are freshwater and saltwater?
They can be both. I believe what we're going to get is freshwater. So yes.
Yeah. Now you mentioned something about Buck. Buck has got cataracts.
He does have cataracts. Buck is in his mid-20s, and that's pretty, so kind of an older guy, but he's developed these cataracts, and one of the great things that we're very proud of is to provide great animal health. And we've actually brought in a consultant to check his heart, because he will have cataract surgery very soon, and hopefully that'll help his vision out a bit. But we prepare for that. It's not like we just bring someone in and say, oh, do it, but we check everything out to make sure he's able to go under anesthesia and is healthy enough for that. And what we've seen is in his the reading of the I think it's EKG. I think it's called something else different now, but there are a little bit of issues, but they're very consistent for him. So I think he's still very healthy to go ahead and go through the surgery.
Now, is he the same type of seal that these females are?
No, he's not. If you look at the sea lions, they're pinnipeds. They're made for being on land, not just in the water. If you look at Buck, his pinnipeds are very, very short. His whole body's like a torpedo. It's designed to be in the water. So he spends a majority of his life in the water, whereas sea lions, they're in and out, and they have that ability to walk on land much better.
Yeah.
So if he's kind of moving on the land, kind of looks like a worm, because his body's just not built for the land. So typically these guys stay in the water most of the time. Right now he's sunning, getting some sun in there. So
body fat's critical for them to maintain their heat, right?
Absolutely. It's not only critical, it's a matter of survival. That's just how they're built. If you look at the sea lions too, they've got a healthy amount of fat also. However, it's designed much different than our seal here.
Right. Mm-hmm. So now this has been, you've had this for 50 years, this enclosure.
It's been here for a long time. I want to say in the 60s. And if you look at it, the concrete, it almost looks like a pool. But nowadays when we design exhibits, we really want them to mimic their natural habitat, whether that includes rock work, more of the sand, the dirt, things that are healthier for them, because concrete can be hard on animals. These guys not so much, because they spend a lot of time in the water, which is good for them. But other animals, definitely, we want to mimic their natural habitat.
When did you start work on on the new enclosure?
We actually started design phase a couple of years ago. It took about a year. We started construction in 2010 in August, and that in itself is about a year to build it. So hopefully by September of this year, we'll be able to open it to the public.
And Terry had mentioned that you're going to have to put the animals in there for a couple of months so that you can get the dynamics of the chemistry right in the water.
Right. It's not. We'll make sure the chemistry in the water is great before we put the animals in. But that is to get the healthy bacteria at a level where we need it, the filtration, the clarity. It takes a little bit of work. So that'll be a couple of months, I believe. We'll get these guys acclimated. Pismo, our older sea lion, is blind. So
which one's that?
I want to say she's in the water.
Right,
yeah, she's the larger one. She's in her, I think she's about 8 years old, and then the younger ones are about 2.5 years old, and they recently came to us about a year ago. And basically they were what we call stranded, which means that they somehow couldn't survive in the wild by themselves. They had some human contact or had an injury, and we provide a great home for them, so it works out well for the animal.
Are they from Morro Bay?
They are from the California coastline. One's from Southern California, one's from Northern California. So one's name's Catalina, and one's name's Avila.
Yeah.
So, but they're great animals. Very vocal, as you heard them this morning. That's one of the things about sea lions. They are very social animals.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask you, is how social are these animals, or how do they interact with humans?
They interact great. That's a great question.
Especially if I've got fish. I bet they want to be my best friend. Huh?
Our new exhibit's going to require for humans to be in the water with them to clean our underwater viewing area. So we've actually been training
you'll have divers cleaning the glass?
So we've been training them to get used to people being in the pool this last week.
So that they don't attack them.
Exactly, and they did great. So they're fine with them, and we'll continue that also.
One thing I remember about this as a kid coming here is that you could feed the animals, and I know that you can't do that anymore because everybody's on a strict diet here.
It's true. The way the zoos do business now, it's much different. When you think about the zoos in the 40s and the 50s and even in the 60s, it was kind of, we just wanted to really interact with them and feed them, and their diets are they're not made for human food, and some of us aren't even made for human food.
Right.
So, but however,
the way we've been engineering food lately, it's not a good deal.
It's true, but these guys, yes, they're on a strict diet. Each one gets a certain amount of weight of fish a day, and during training we make sure that they get that, and then they're weighed. So their health is a big deal to us, and that's a critical part for their health and their environment here. So.
Yeah. You ready to show us their new enclosure?
I am. We're going to go show you the new one. We're at the new Sea Lion Cove. It's right in the middle of construction. You can see there's tons of people working out there, so it's quite an exciting time for us.
And Terry had mentioned that you're even going to get a wave machine.
We've designed we took so much consideration in design phase that we want to make sure that we had a really nice, mimicking the Central California coast. So we've got a wave machine in there that actually will cause a wave about 11 inches. But we also have an underwater viewing area, and as you can see, it's about 38 feet long. It's that whole white area. So for the first time ever, I think, in our history, we'll have an underwater viewing area for sea lions.
Boy, these guys are really working.
They are.
You are in the heat of it now, aren't you?
Right. This is our whole zookeeper area and our holding area. So if an animal's sick or we need to work with them and train with them, we can do that behind the scenes. And further back, we also have a seating area that'll seat about 100 people, or I think something like that. And we can do presentations, and it'll be a great area.
So will you have a daily show here?
We will have at least one, if not multiple. We'll see how we can plan that and how we can make it work. But we also, as you can see back there, that whole netting look-like thing, or is metal mesh there, is for our rock work. And the rock work will actually be mimicking the Central Valley coast also.
Right.
So a lot of details were considered. I think it's going to be an amazing exhibit, and it's really starting to take shape now as we're getting closer and closer.
So there's going to be more sand and more rock, and maybe even vegetation in the bottom of the pool?
It'll really have a nice look to it. It'll be clear, we're hoping. And when I talked earlier about the whole training with staff, is that underwater panel there will need to be cleaned on occasion, so we'll get people in there to actually do that.
When you go to the Monterey Aquarium, and occasionally you'll see a diver in there cleaning the glass.
Right, exactly, because things will grow, and especially because it's outdoors in the sunlight, and we'll do our best with the filtration system. But
how many animals will you be able to accommodate here?
We can hold up to 8 or even 12, but I think our goal is probably about 8.
But this is going to be a way bigger system than the old pond that you have.
This is about 200,000 gallons, so a much different experience for the animals. When we designed it, we also considered the zookeepers area to make their job more efficient and better for them. So there's a lot of planning was about a year, so we really went through a lot of work to get this perfect.
This will be done middle of summer?
Actually, it'll be done, I think, hopefully by middle of summer, but by the time we're open to public, probably September. And the reason why I say that, it'll take time to get the right bacteria in there for the animals, just to run the filtration and get that running well.
Won't you need the animals' bacteria to get the bacteria right? Or?
We might need some of that. I'm not really sure how that's going to work, but yes, absolutely. But the animals will need to get used to that area also.
That's where biology and chemistry comes together, and you got to figure out the whole deal.
Exactly.
Well, this is very cool, and it'll be very exciting to see this when it's completed.
Right, and it's all made possible by Measure Z. And not only do we get a great exhibit, but we also we created jobs for some of the folks here in the valley. So,
right.
And with Measure Z, we really try to spend as much money here in our valley, so that the money goes back to the folks within our community.
And Terry Meharada was mentioning that your attendance was the best it's ever been last year.
Ever, as far as we know.
500,000 people.
At least, it was over that. So it was a great year for us in attendance, and we think when we open this exhibit, it's going to be amazing, and that'll even grow also. So we're just very proud to kind of provide this place for the community, and people that have been here for a long time know the zoo, and it's changed quite a bit, but it's only getting better in the process.
If you want to see the world, come to the zoo, because you'll see all the animals from the major continents right here.
This area has been modified right here. What we did, we added the camel back here. He was actually located where the Sea Lion Cove is now, so we had to, when we started construction of that, we had to move some animals and readjust them a bit. So he's doing really well in here. He's been well accepted.
So you're able to team animals together.
Yeah,
now.
Absolutely. This is what we call the multiple species exhibit. We have 2 ostrich over there.
Yeah.
And then the giraffe and Speaks gazelles, those little guys back there. Do you see them? Mm-hmm. And the giraffes and elands.
So I guess putting a deer and the alligator together is a bad idea.
It's probably a bad idea.
There's more symbiosis to this.
This is true. However, you know, they do get a little bit territorial on occasion. Our big bull here is he is kind of the boss of the area in a lot of ways, but we do have our
bull giraffe.
Yeah, he's the big guy. He's actually the dad to.
They're all big.
They're all big, but he's really big.
Is that the one that's just pushed?
I believe that is. Yes, that's our big male there. But yeah, the camel's doing well back here. He seems to be enjoying the company. Where he used to live, he was by himself, and I think it's been good for him.
And here he comes.
Yeah, that's our baby giraffe, I believe. He'll be 2 this July. He's doing really well, and like I said, the bull back here is the dad to him. He's growing. When he was born, he was about 6 feet tall and 120 pounds, and he's probably, close to 10 feet, I bet, at least.
And what, 400 pounds?
Probably about 300, I bet. Yeah. He's a big guy.
Their cardiovascular system has to be really dynamic, because they have to pump blood all the way up to the brain.
Their heart is the size of a basketball, if you can imagine that. And it's true, their blood pressure needs to be the same at the top of their head to the bottom of the hoof.
Yeah, because they have to feed oxygen to the brain.
Exactly.
So the only way they're going to do that is through the blood.
Exactly.
Through cardiovascular.
One of the cool things about giraffe, all mammals species, including us, have 7 neck vertebrae. So in your neck, we got 7 vertebrae. So do they, but their vertebrae is about that big.
Yeah.
So 7 in them also, something we have in common with them. However, one of the cool things about them is their long neck, and amazing creatures. When you stand right next to them, it's just a different view for them. So they're quite huge, so they're big guys.
In the wild, genetically, they acquired these long necks to reach foliage in the canopy.
Right, it's true. It's called an acacia tree, a very tall tree, and that tree also has thorns on it. And if you look closely at their tongue, I wish I can bring them over to show you, but it's got like a sticky mucus on it, and that it protects them from any thorns. And it's also black, so when they're in the wild, and even here it gets really sunny, the black helps them from not getting sunburned. So the tongues are black, very long. It's called a prehensile tongue, and it actually acts like a finger, so it can grasp the leaves. So yeah, they got amazing adaptation. So if you look at their long legs, really quick, they can be quite dangerous also, and very strong and powerful.
What are they the most closely related to?
Most closely related to, there's actually another animal called an okapi, really beautiful animal, and I encourage you to look at one. I think the LA Zoo has one, but they're amazing animals. So again, they're pretty cool. One of my favorites. Of course, whatever I'm in front of is my favorite, and right now it's these guys. So
how long do they live?
They can live well into their 20s, and I believe our bull is about 22 or so.
But this is something pretty spectacular, to be able to have a birth here at the zoo, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, to be able to, for these animals to breed and then to bring the pregnancy to fruition, is something else when they're in captivity.
It's true, and actually we do have a pregnant one right now, so hopefully this spring, maybe I think March, April, we're not really sure exact date, but we'll be having another baby, and it is an amazing thing to experience and watch. And one of our babies was actually born on exhibit, where we had lots of people here, and when they're born, they literally just kind of flop out, but they're big. So when they're born, they're about 6 feet tall. So it's pretty pretty amazing. And when they're first born, you want to make sure that they get up right away, and that's a sign of good health. So a lot of our babies, when they first get up, we're really thrilled because that's a huge process for them to do.
Now, what kind of hoof is this that they have?
It's a two-toed hoof.
Yeah.
If you look closely at it, very thick, strong, and that's one of the things that we're very aware of. We want to make sure that the feet always stay healthy. So as you can see, we take a lot of care of the surroundings that are around them.
Such an odd looking creature.
It
I
is.
mean, pretty, but just,
it is different.
you know, it's
yeah, if you look at those two things, a lot of people think those are horns, but they're not. It's actually part of their skull. It's the bone that's attached to their skull. When horns are not, they will actually fall off on occasion, but these guys, that's grown into, they're called ossicones, and they're pretty amazing.
Huh. Do they serve any function?
The males will use them, I think, when it's time to kind of go for the girls, and a little bit of that, but not real any major function that we know of. If you look at their eyes, though, they've got very long eyelashes, and that's due to being out in the sun, and their eyebrows kind of act as a visor for their eyes to protect them from the sun.
And how did you figure out how to team these animals together?
It's a process. The ostrich, when we got them, they were just little guys. They're really small, and they've grown quite a bit. They grow quickly, and we generally will we start to generally just introduce them to each other, and once they're kind of get used to each other, then we take that next step. But again, the zookeepers are watching this whole process, so if something goes bad, they get involved. But we've been very fortunate
have to break them up.
It's true, yeah. But we've been very fortunate.
But they seem like they got some symbiosis going here.
Exactly, and we're really excited because these guys, once we're able to expand into our new area, we'll get a larger area. Also, we'll be able to add more species, and it'll be an amazing experience in the new Africa exhibit.
Where are you going to take us next? You're going to take us to the reptile house?
Yeah, the reptile house.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite places. It happens, during the summer it's a great place to be because it's cool, and during the winter it's a great place to be because it's warm.
Yeah.
So we've done some renovation there again, thanks to Measure Z, and it's pretty spectacular. And we're going to start working on a king cobra exhibit in the near future, so hopefully that opens up this year too. So we're excited about that, and it'll be a great exhibit too. So pretty fun stuff.
Okay, we are at the reptile room now, right? Reptile
we are
house?
at the reptile house. We actually have frogs here too, so it's really a herp building.
Yeah.
But this is one of our new exhibits that we actually installed. I think it's been a couple years now. Very large, great home for these animals. A couple of extremely venomous snakes in here. One is the green mamba. That's a male, and he's fairly large. I want to say he's probably close to 6-7 feet long. And then this gaboon viper down here, pretty cool, isn't it, Robert? Gaboon viper. It stays very still, as you can see. And if it was in Africa, it'd be in the forest floor. You wouldn't even be able to see it. It's got great camouflage, extremely venomous, and really thick. That's one of the cool things about him. Not so large, but in terms of length, but really thick and powerful.
Why is he so thick?
He's really fast. I've actually seen some videotape. They're just all muscle, and so extremely fast. One of the cool things about these guys is they have really long fangs, one of the largest fangs, and they actually will lose them and grow them instantly. And I can show you a skeleton in a few about how they look.
So when the animal's attacking something, it will inject it and lose its fangs?
It might lose its fangs, and as soon as it does, it can actually be replaced, almost like the shark's teeth. They have right behind each other. So amazing creature, and again, extremely venomous. It's likely if you get bit by one of these guys, not a whole lot we can do. So they're dangerous.
That's it, huh?
That's it. So having said that, when our keepers deal with these animals, we take so many precautions because they can be very dangerous. With the mamba, for example, we actually will shift him into a box, and he's trained to do that. So
you're able to manipulate them with a pole, with
without having to touch them. Exactly. Yeah. So you can see he shed here also. The baboon viper did. All this rock work is done by an artist actually who does this stuff. So
it's got a Malaysian feel to it.
It's actually an Africa exhibit, but it does have that forest feel to it. Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
With some river rock, a riverbed kind of going through that.
Yeah, and the whole time we've been out here, you can see the green mamba has really been taking use of it. He's been from one side to the other. I've been told that they're extremely intelligent animals for a snake. And if he's looking at us, I almost feel like he's kind of checking us out here just to see what's going on. So He's pretty.
That's the kind of feel I get. Are you looking at me?
Yeah, I think he is.
Because he doesn't see anybody else here other than us.
It's true. And one thing about snakes that I think are so intimidating, even if they're not venomous, is they don't have eyelids. So they never break that view.
Yeah.
So I think that in itself, it kind of is intimidating for us humans who, you know, that's kind of a stare down kind of feel. So
in the reptile house, how many exhibits do you have here?
we have 4 brand new ones like this, and we have several others they're all individual. So what we've done for each individual chamber is that we create seasons for the animals. So if it's a snake that lives in an area where they get really hot summers and really cold winters, we actually create those seasons for them, because then they're more likely to have a better breeding environment. Especially if we want them to breed, we create that for them.
Right. And you have amphibians here too. We just saw some monkey frogs.
Waxy monkey frogs, and they're pretty cool guys too. They're one of my favorites.
What's the most unique animal you have in this building?
I think that gaboon viper is pretty unique. Yeah, he's pretty amazing. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that here in Fresno. We have a male and a female. We do switch them out to be on exhibit. And this is our male. Our female is actually a little larger and thicker. So yeah, they're great guys. Are they? They could breed.
Cannibalistic?
Well, no, but we don't have them together, because if they bred, my understanding is their clutch is up to 20 to 30 little guys, and we don't want 20 to 30 little gaboon vipers. So.
But couldn't you send them to other zoos?
We could, but there are a lot. That's a lot of gaboon vipers, and to handle them, you really have to have a trained staff. So it's not like we can just call any zoo and say, would you like a gaboon viper? We try to work with zoos that really have the training to have these guys.
I can imagine the training and the certification for handling all these animals has got to be fairly immense.
That's true. There's some, we do, like here on grounds, in terms of safety, we have rattlesnakes and different other venomous, and we have anti-venom for them. And we actually keep it here at the zoo in the reptile building. So if any of our keepers, anything happen, we transport them with the anti-venom, because it's likely that one of our hospitals here in Fresno is not going to have that venom because it's so rare.
Yeah.
So we always have that on hand, and we make sure it's not expired. And definitely, it's critical that we.
So you have to probably have a doctor for the human caretakers too, occasionally to check on the health of the caretakers, right?
You know, that's a good point. It's really interesting is that our keepers, they're very active throughout the whole entire year, so naturally they're very fit, but also you have to stay smart in these animals constantly all day. So when they're working with them, they'll get to know animals individually, know what works for them, what doesn't. Even
know
our
their
reptiles.
temperament.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's true of animals on grounds, like the mammals especially. But these guys, they definitely require a certain level of respect, and also recognize that they are dangerous animals, and they're still wild no matter how much interaction they have with humans.
Yeah. Well, we're almost out of time, but briefly, you have a lot of events throughout the year here at the zoo?
Yeah, we do. It's going to be a great year again this year. So
what are some of the events that you have?
Coming up very soon would be our breakfast with the animals in April. But naturally, we've got big ice cream safari. We've got Dino Night. We've got so many things for the community. A Zubu.
Yeah.
So we like to provide those things not only for fundraising, but also to create memories for our families, and the kids enjoy it, the parents enjoy it. So it's a great environment.
Do you entertain private parties also?
We do. We do special events. We've got weddings that are coming up this year also.
Weddings at the zoo.
Yeah, exactly. Weddings and parties for companies and things like that. So
how unique could your wedding be if you had it at the zoo?
It's pretty unique. Yeah, you can't say that everybody get married at the zoo, but we do, and it's a great environment. The trees are beautiful.
Sure.
It's really nice.
And you're open year round?
We are open year round except Christmas. Currently we're open till 4, but starting in the middle of March we'll be open till 6 until the end of September. So we'll stay open a little longer during that prime season for us.
Well, that's great. Well,
thanks,
Adrienne
Robert, for being here.
Castro, thank you for entertaining us today.
Thank you.
And being on the Valley today.